The governor to order on January 27th, 2026. Please turn your cells on silent or off and stand and repeat after me the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Governing body roll call. Councilor Waldman.
Here.
Councilor Miera.
Here.
Councilor Alsobrook.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Oh, good. Um, good. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. New business.
So can we hold a hearing without the applicant here?
I don't know.
That's not him.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen him before.
No, he's a concerned resident signed up to speak, but
Were they online?
No, I think just have one.
Makes a short hearing then.
And,
Could be.
and courtesy, we give him a few minutes.
Okay. Don't give them.
Talk about the playoff games, you know.
Didn't have to cancel. Well, I mean, Mayor, we could stretch out a little bit if
We can
you know,
we
we
discussion.
get the normal spiel about this is quasi judicial, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Might buy them a few minutes to get here. It's not looking good though.
I think, I don't know, I mean, is it okay to do all that without him here? Because they need to know that that's how this is going to go.
Yeah, it's point both of you, but it's a question. It's more of it's a judicial proceeding where insofar as it affects a particular property, or as opposed to the legislative function of the body which fulfills.
So let me ask
Witnesses
this.
are sworn. They are witnesses, and the mayor is the gatekeeper. Testimony has to be relevant to the issue. There's no Cortelianos forum where people just get to talk about whatever they please. Like a zoning matter, which is also judicial when it comes to the governing body, the property owner or any party aggrieved can appeal to the district court if they don't like the decision of the governing body. And I'll repeat that when the property owner gets here.
I have a
Hopefully
question. If in case he does not show, what are our options?
I think in that case we would have our code enforcement officer present his findings at the time the resolution was adopted and now, and let the chips fall where they may.
And if he doesn't show that he doesn't get his 15 minutes of presentation and any witnesses he wants to bring in, is that correct? Councilor Murray?
Here. So I was going to ask, is the both chiefs going to be here, the fire department and police? Because
One is here.
oh, there he is. Sorry, I didn't see you come in without snack.
Not wearing a hat.
Yeah. To my knowledge, the police chief was not planning on being here.
Okay, because I probably had a question, but anyway, that's okay.
Councilor Waldman?
Mayor, I'm a little puzzled why we're having this hearing. If the defendant has an opportunity to appeal to district court, but we've already heard this in full. Why are we having this hearing rather than going to district court? We made a decision.
If you look at page 2 of your packet, that is the state statute. And it says we've highlighted the area that says, well, that's about the lien, but
Actually, that highlighting is concerns something else entirely.
but the state statute gives the property owner the right to appeal and ask for extra time. So that is what the property owner has done. He's not, it's not an appeal in that they're asking to totally do away with the resolution. They're just asking for more time to clean up.
Yeah, it's what we lawyers call sui generis. It's the statute of one of a kind. It's not really an appeal. It's a quasi-judicial proceeding, but it's one of the steps that the governing body has to take if he asks for it, and he did timely file a written response. So,
Now I guess this is a much easier way for him to proceed than to go to district court. It's like,
Yep.
I mean,
Here he
because
is.
if he, oh, here he is.
oh,
Welcome.
So now I think you could go ahead and proceed with
Okay.
the body of the script there.
This is a special meeting of the village governing body to hear written objections to Resolution 25-26 from Mr. Jose Silva, co-owner of Track 93B of Map 18, also known as 744 Old Church Road. The resolution requires the owners of the property to commence cleanup of the property within 10 days or to file written objections. Mr. Silva, through his attorney-in-fact, Kimberly Delaney, has timely filed written objections to the resolution asking that he be given additional time to clean up the property. My name is Fred Hashimoto, and I am the mayor for the village of Corrales, and I will be functioning as the presiding officer for this hearing. The hearing today is a quasi-judicial hearing, and decisions will be made by the governing body. I'm going to conduct a roll call for the record. Councilor Miera,
Here.
Councilor Waldman,
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here. I'm
Okay,
having trouble with my mic. Sorry.
that's fine. Councilor Alsobrook,
Here.
Councilor Burkett. He's absent. Councilor Murray.
Here.
Now I am going to ask the property owner to please identify himself. Okay, thank you. Resolution 25-26 was duly adopted by the governing body on October 28th, 2025. A copy of the resolution was mailed to the property owners on October 30th, 2025. Subject to the property owner's right to file written objections, the resolution required the property owner to commence cleanup of the property within 10 days of service and to continue the cleanup until complete. Mr. Silva has asked for additional time to complete the cleanup. The scope of this proceeding will be limited to whether or not the council should uphold the resolution, rescind the resolution, or grant Mr. Silva additional time to complete the cleanup of the property. Because this is a quasi-judicial hearing, all witnesses will be sworn in before testifying. All testimony must be relevant to the questions before the governing body. If people go outside of that scope, I will call you on it and I will say that is irrelevant. That goes for the parties as well as counselors, unless it really is related to the matters at hand. We are recording this meeting tonight so that a complete, clear record can be created of everything being said. However, please remember that we cannot create an accurate record with people talking over one another. So I am going to be strict about people talking over one another. If people start talking over one another, I will stop them so we can get a clean record. The council will have the opportunity to ask questions. Council, if you have any questions, please make sure that you say mayor so that I can make sure that I see you, recognize you, and let you speak. Again, that is for the record, and so that we get these questions and answers down. The question should be focused on clarifying the record or the argument given and should not include new information or evidence being offered by a counselor through asking the question. I am also going to assume that everyone's demeanor is going to be appropriate and there will not be any badgering or any arguing with witnesses. I will call people on that process. Before I give an outline of the specific process for this hearing, here is a general outline of how the hearing will run. We will first have a summary of the case by the code enforcement officer. Then we will hear a presentation by the property owner, Mr. Silva, followed by a rebuttal from the code enforcement officer on behalf of the village, if necessary. Each party's time will be limited to 15 minutes. A party may request more time if the matter being heard is unduly complicated, and upon their request, the governing body agrees. The property owner may present evidence, argument, and call witnesses, who will be sworn in by the village clerk. Before making a final decision, counselors or I may have questions of the witnesses limited to clarifying the evidence, the parties' arguments, or the decision of the village council. No independent evidence should be offered by counselors or me, and I will remind us if necessary. After hearing from the parties and questions from the counselors, I will close the hearing and the governing body will deliberate. The village council may take the determination in open session or decide to deliberate in closed session as allowed by the Open Meetings Act. All decisions must be made in public. The governing body may vote to enforce the resolution, rescind the resolution, or grant the property owner additional time to complete cleanup of the property. Any person aggrieved by the governing body's decision may appeal to the district court by giving notice of appeal to the governing body within 5 days after the governing body's decision and filing a petition in the district court within 20 days after the governing body's decision. Any questions? Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So when you say 5 days, is that 5 working days or 5 consecutive days from the date of the hearing?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Murray, I believe it's 5 days, and the usual rule is if the sixth day, I guess it would be, falls on a weekend or a holiday, then it runs the next day. So I think it would be calendar days generally, subject to.
So if they were to appeal on a Saturday, I mean, how would they contact the village to make their appeal known?
If the I think counting 5 days would make it the sixth day that it's due. If the sixth day falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or holiday, it would be the next business day that it's
Okay.
due.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So in summary, the code officer will present. He has 15 minutes. He will outline the circumstances presented at the time of adoption of the resolution. Second, the property owner will be invited to present his argument. He has 15 minutes. The third step is the enforcement officer again can testify about his observations at the property since adoption of the resolution. Fourth step, neighboring property owners may testify as well, as long as their testimony is relevant to the governing body's determination. Remind people to speak into the mic when you come up to the lectern. So number one, Code Enforcement Officer Dennis Deal, you want to present the circumstances at the time of the adoption of the resolution, please.
And before you start, let me swear you in. Please raise your right hand, state your name. And is the testimony you are about to give the truth and the whole truth? Please proceed.
No.
Is it on? Sometimes that one gets turned off.
Hello,
Now we can hear you.
you can hear me? Okay, excellent. Okay, so to round out we're talking about the property, referred to as 744 Old Church Road, legal description, subdivision, map 18, tract 93B. And the timeline of enforcement actions related to this property. I have provided a copy of those. Those date back to 98 on this, and have considered it with and with multiple cases that of notice of violations that have been issued for waste and vehicles. Subsequent notice of violations have been issued on vehicles in 2020. Also, then subsequently we had a rush of them starting in January. And another notice of violation plus a criminal complaint was issued in early 2025. Subsequently, those cases were no crossed through our court system when Officer Rice, my predecessor, left the employment of the village. Subsequent to that, a new notice of violation was issued by the P&Z office. The second notice was issued, and then subsequently that led us to the clean and lien, which was passed on 10/28 of 2025. The key notes for the remediation of the relation to the relating to the property itself was there was 4 key points that I took from that, which was there was ruined, damaged, and dilapidated materials. There was illegal accessory structures on the property. There was inoperable motor vehicles, including RVs. There was construction debris, rubbish, and trash. Those key points were points of remediation that were listed in the resolution, and there were items that I thought were that were clearly needed to be resolved through this. Subsequent to that, what we did on last week is I contacted Ms. Delaney and requested time to conduct a walkthrough of the property. She agreed, and we scheduled. So on 1/22 of last week, I conducted a walkthrough with the P&Z administrator Lori Stout and Corrales police officer David Chavez.
Dennis, could you hang on just for a sec?
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
Yes, sir.
The next step, according to the protocol, is for the applicant to talk and present. And then you have an opportunity after that to give your findings after the applicant does.
The walkthrough findings of that, of course.
So if Mr. Silva or Ms. Delaney would like to speak, it's yours.
I don't even know what to say. I'm really new at this. I've never really done this before.
Let me swear you in. Please raise your right hand, state your name.
Kimberly Delaney?
And is the testimony you're about to give the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, it is.
Please proceed.
I know we're talking as far as here and now, so I understand all that in the past has happened. And so as for the lean and clean, I think, I don't know where to start. We've got a lot cleaned up. I mean, mostly all of it's cleaned up. There's maybe a couple of sheds that need to go down, we understand. And other than that, there's a couple of cars, 2 of them left today. So, I mean, there's not much of a lean and clean they're going to be able to do because there's nothing really to lean and clean anymore. So I have receipts and documents of the tractor that we rented and the chipper that we rented and the workers and the runs that we went to and the dumpsters that we rented. So I don't know if you saw my statement of defense. I don't know if I should read that, or you guys probably already heard it, right? Okay, I'll read it.
Read it into the,
Okay.
why don't you read it into the record, please, Kimberly?
Okay. Regarding the allegations of individuals squatting on the property in cars and trucks, those claims are untrue. There was one individual who attempted to squat in a shed located on Mr. Silva's yard. That would be the one that Lori was talking about that had the bunk bed in it. He ultimately left the property and is no longer present. Additionally, allegations that individuals on the property disposed of waste in the nearby acequia are absolutely false. All individuals working on the project were provided access to Mr. Silva's restroom facilities. This included Mr. Silva's son, who had unlawfully been occupying the property on the east side of the acequia. Mr. Silva's son is formally evicted from the property as of January 29th, pursuant to an order issued by the Sandoval County Magistrate Court. With respect to the septic system permit, locating the permit for the system installed by Mr. Silva has been extremely challenging. The issue is not access to the permit once identified, but rather determining where the permit is on file. Multiple offices have been contacted and several different numbers were provided, resulting in a repeat runaround with no clear direction. At this time, it remains unclear where or how I can obtain the septic permit. For clarification, if the system is If it's installed correctly, then it should require minimum pumping. Additionally, claims that a rat infestation originated from Mr. Silva's yard are incorrect. Mr. Silva's neighboring property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Sanchez, who were trying to get online, and I had given them the meeting number and the PIN and everything, and they couldn't get on. So they're on the phone talking to me right now, wondering how they can get on to give their statement. Let's see. Okay, who reside towards the rear of the property, personally witnessed the rats and can attest that they did not originate from Mr. Silva's yard. Mr. and Mrs. Sanchez are willing to provide a statement regarding where the rats were observed coming from. Finally, the issue of property taxes, which is not relevant to this matter. However, for clarification, Mr. Silva paid property taxes for approximately 50 years while residing on the property. In recent years, co-owner Horst Walbat has assumed responsibility for the taxes, which is appropriate given their ownership. Mr. Silva has therefore paid his share of taxes. In addition, Mr. Silva has paid 100% of the water rights associated with the property and has personally funded the extensive cleanup efforts totaling so far approximately $58,000. Furthermore, the statements made during the October 28th meeting were based entirely on hearsay and should not have been published in the Corrales comment. This information presented was false and constitutes defamation against character of Mr. Silva. So I have receipts, like I said, of everything. I wish they would have came with their little camera that they did the walkthrough of the yard last time, because you'd see a huge difference. Doesn't even look like the same property. Anyways, any questions?
Yeah. Do you have a plan for removal of structures that are illegally placed?
Yeah, that's not the issue. It's what's inside the structures, because Mr. Silva's son was residing at the house next to it that got demolitioned. That's where he stores all his belongings. So that's the issue, is where we're going to store his belongings. I mean, they have to be somewhere. So, but yeah, we have people that can take them down. They put them up, they could take them back down. They're self-built.
Okay.
The tough shed, on the other hand, we're just going to have to get a permit for that. Mr. Silva's planning on moving that to his side of the property for storage. So I've seen a lot of tough sheds in Corrales, so I don't see why that would be an issue. And Mr. Silva's son's not in the picture anymore, so we should be able to keep the tough shed, I hope.
Well, maybe if you're finished with your presentation, we can have Dennis give his findings since the resolution was passed, and then we can open up to council questions if you have any for
Okay.
you or Dennis. Sound okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dennis, you want to come up and present findings since the resolution was passed in October?
Can I do it from here or you want me to come up there?
Uh,
Doesn't matter to you. It's okay.
The mic, yeah, what are you?
Can you hear me okay with here?
This-
I'll come up here.
I think this mic is better, but
So last week, as a follow-up to in preparation for this meeting here, for the appeal here today, I contacted Ms. Delaney and requested a time to come and conduct a walkthrough of the property. She agreed, and we scheduled it for 1/22 of 2026. I conducted the walkthrough with P&Z Administrator Lori Stout and with Corrales Police Officer David Chavez. The findings were as follows. There were 10 vehicles that were noted in various states throughout the property. There was some discussion. Now, the discussion that took place was between Kim, Miss Delaney, a subject, Ron, who was on the property as well, walking around with us, as well as with Corrales PD and myself. And the discussion included some intent to remove some of the vehicles, as well as some vehicle parts that were still around the property. There was also 2 RV campers and a trailer that were still located on the site. And the discussion included the intent to remove both those RVs and the trailer. I noted that there was 3 illegal structures still noted on the east side of the property, the Corrales roadside. And I was actually wrong when I noted down it was 3 illegal structures. That was it. It was 4. There's technically 4 structures there. And I'll come back to those here in just a moment. There was different piles of construction materials that had been all around the property before. Now they were all sorted, stacked, and organized. Most of the debris, rubbish, and tires had been removed. There had been a large pile of tires. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I heard that somewhere between 200 or more tires had been removed from the property. There was still 8 tires there that they were keeping because they were good tires and they were stored properly. I didn't see a problem with those. There was small piles of trash that were noted around the property, but they appeared to be collected for disposal. So to me, the site looked like it was in the process of being cleaned and in areas it was already cleaned. And then there was also several organized piles of long tree limbs on the property, and the discussion there included intent to finish a coyote fence, which did appear to be in progress. In comparison, when I first started with the Village of Corrales, I was pulled into this process for the clean and lean kind of mid-go. And so I walked the property with Lori Stout back in October. And I have to commend Ms. Delaney and Mr. Silva for the amount of work that they put into getting this property cleaned. Just in the last 3 months, from the time of the passing of the resolution till now, the property has made a big turnaround. And so my goal with this is to ultimately obtain the term substantial compliance with the rule of law that we have here in Corrales. Now, what does that mean when I say that? So I'm going to define that really quick, just for my sake and for everybody else's here. Substantial compliance is the doctrine where a party has fulfilled the essential requirements of a contract, statute, or regulation in good faith, despite minor technical or unimportant defects. And when it comes to nuisance abatement cases that are typical for code enforcement, the standard for standard compliance, there's a term that's used. It's called broom clean. Now, what does broom clean mean? And so I want to decide to put that out there. This concept means it's overall emptiness and basic tidiness of a property. It does not mean for something to be fully repaired, fixed, or deep cleaned. So I want to make sure that we have our expectations set for what we expect from the property going forward. Our intent today was actually to show lapel cam video from the CPD officer who's with us. But unfortunately, when we went back and looked at that camera, the video on that, most of it was showing the sky. It was pointed more up than it was down. So we did a backup, and I provided additional photos today of the areas that were done that. In the original attachment, I also provided photos of the different structures as well as the vehicles that were still on the property as well. So that's kind of where we were with that. In looking at the notes that were received from Mr. Silva for this appeal, I noted that he talked about the 10 by 10 rule regarding sheds. So I decided at this point, before this meeting, I requested if Ms. Delaney would allow me to go onto the property today, which I did early this morning, to measure the sheds. What I found was that there was technically four sheds that are on this east side of the property, on the Corrales side. The village code allows for us to have an unpermitted structure up to 120 square feet. Now, of the four sheds, now I kind of gave them names just to distinguish them. One I called the Mason shed because it has kind of concrete sides to it. That one was 111 square feet under code. Does not require a permit. There was a small metal shed that was 96 square feet total space that does not need a permit. The red shed that Ms. Delaney mentioned earlier, that one is 166 square feet. So that one would require a permit if she wanted to move it to the opposite side of the property and use it for storage. It cannot be a dwelling unit. And that's the thing we got to just make sure that we're clear on. And then lastly, there was a rusty metal shed. I call it rusty just because the outside patina of it was rusty. Is 152 square feet. Again, that would be something, that's a shred that would either need to be permitted or removed. On that, so from the code enforcement standpoint, the outstanding issues are literally the two illegal structures that I just mentioned, the two that are over the 120 square feet. And then the continuing the removal and disposal or storage of the inoperable motor vehicles and recreational vehicles that are still on the property. From the notes received from Mr. Silva, it does sound like he has a plan to move forward with the removal of those vehicles, as well as with the sheds. I do want to request some clarification on the removal of the sheds, of the two illegal ones. But other than that, I'm prepared to provide additional time, work with the property owners to ensure to just finalize the rest of this cleanup. We're close to the end of it. There's a bit that they've done a lot of really good work here. And I just want to finalize it, get these last few items off their list and off my list, and we're all good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Before the councilors ask questions, we can have neighbors, if they would like, to give input. The neighbors' input will be limited to 15 minutes. So I don't know how many people have signed up, but the total has to be 15 minutes or less. Teresa, how many people signed up?
Right now, I only have one signed up. I did have a request for more to sign up, although they arrived late.
Yeah, the meeting started at 6. Yeah, and it was posted on all of the. So, but it's up to the mayor. If
So
did you both want to speak or just one of you?
we can have.
Yeah, he's.
He is signed up, and if she signs up.
Yeah,
I'll speak too.
I think if, normally we don't allow late signups, but since there was a misunderstanding, we can have the gentleman that signed up first and then.
Okay, and
Okay.
this is Chris Wiggins of P.O. Box 1310.
Okay, and Chris, if you'll please raise your right hand. Is the testimony you're about to give the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay, we'll give you 3 minutes total.
Okay. Just real quick, I'd like to, say thank you to Kim and to Belinda. I think you guys have actually done quite a lot of work to clean everything up. And I do really appreciate that. It is definitely been noticed by them. The number of
Just speak in the mic, Chris, please.
The number of cars has definitely gone down. I think I have 3 remaining concerns that I'd really like your help on, which is the remaining vehicles, inoperable vehicles, the trailer, the sort of dilapidated travel trailer. And then finally, there's one pile of like lumber that's on the north fence that's about the size of an excursion or something. I feel like it's a fairly large amount of fuel near my garage. And I just worry that if it caught fire, I probably couldn't put it out. And so I would really appreciate it if it could just be moved or just not against the fence or just somewhere. I would really appreciate that. Overall, I think it's been a journey. I think it definitely speaks a lot to our new code enforcement person and Lori, as well as, their participation in trying to, get this really cleaned up. And it's not perfect. It's not done. It definitely needs, it needs to go over the finish line. Right. But I would really like to see it happen before fire season starts, before the springtime starts, because I'm just worried about the amount of moisture, lack of moisture that we have and what could happen. And I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Chris. Next, neighbor input.
This is Pamela Whitney of 942 Old Church Road.
All right, Pamela, can you please raise your right hand? Is the testimony you are about to give the truth and the whole truth?
It is.
Okay, please proceed. We'll give you 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, dear.
There's no question that a lot of progress has been made. Kim, they've worked very, very hard to get where we are. What's sad is that it took this to get this far. That it took the threat of a clean and lean to get this done. But as Chris said, it is not done. There are quite a few vehicles left on the property that are highly flammable. There are still tires in a trailer that are highly flammable. It looks like they've done a lot to try to cut down a lot of logs to try to make a coyote fence. It started. I worry that it won't be finished. We don't care about the aesthetics. We care about the safety. If those trucks and tires go up into flames, it will cause toxicity, which the fire chief reiterated could very well cause fumes that would indeed, if it takes days to put out, that would cause possibly an evacuation with part of Corrales. So this isn't just about aesthetics. This is far more about the health and safety of just not the surrounding neighbors, but of the community as a whole. I worry that they'll get to a certain point and feel, well, we've satisfied everybody, we're kind of done, we're tired, and we're not going to go further and finish. And as Chris said, a timeline to be done by a certain date certain is what really is asked for by the community at this point. And we hope very much that the council and the new mayor will take that under serious advisement because of the seriousness of the issue. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your hard work. I see you out there with night lights even working, trying to get those vehicles going. But the shed's still there. The trailer's still there. It's not permitted to be there. There were people living in them before. And they have a gentleman named Anthony who's worked really, really hard at getting the property going too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pamela. Counselors, do you have any questions of either party, either the code enforcement officer or the property owner? Counselor Alsobro.
Thank you, Mayor. This question is concerns the request for an extension. There was no timing in the request, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, nor was there a specific calendar date given. It was just an open-ended request for an extension. So I'm wondering if you have a specific date or time in mind.
We probably don't need that really much longer. There's 4 vehicles that are on the property right now that are insured, registered, and they have minor things wrong with them. So they're not dilapidated, they're complete cars. So those will be staying. The camper that's in the way back is my storage camper and it still runs and I still use it. And so that's been also registered and insured. So that can stay on the property. The 55 Bel Air, that's the one that you're allowed on the property without being registered and insured. That would be that one because we're still trying to trace the title for it. And as for, I don't know what trailer that has the tires in it that they're talking about that hasn't been removed because we removed the utility. Are you talking about the graded utility trailer?
It's really big. There's a long, big trailer.
Okay, yeah. So the one with the tires on it's been removed already. So, and then. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't have anything in it. That one's empty, but yeah, we plan on taking that one and the 2 dilapidated trucks that are over some of the property. Those will be gone. And I think that. Yeah, probably 30 days. Probably 30 days. What do you guys think? 60 days. 60 days to make sure it's all done. Yes.
Mayor Hashimoto, I have someone online that wants to speak.
I'm sorry that person really did not request in a timely way, so.
Okay.
I've been here the whole time waiting. And I'm on the list.
Okay. Generally, if you have witnesses, they would be under your 15 minutes, but we'll go ahead and we can hear them in. What could you swear them in, please, Melanie?
Sir, can you state your name? You need to unmute, please.
I'm sorry, Michael
You
Sanchez.
can't unmute him. You can just ask him. Okay, please state your name.
Michael Sanchez.
Okay. And we can't see you, but I will I will pretend that your raised hand on the screen is your right hand raised in person.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
the testimony you are about to give the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please proceed. We will give you 3 minutes.
Okay, so we live in 5 Alegria Lane. We have 3 acres that are on the farthest side of the eastern part of where their land is. And I just want to say, first and foremost, that I commend them for the work they've done because they've done a miracle job. And I take up most of the property that these individuals are communicating about. And I agree, it was a mess initially, but I do want to clear up one thing. There was a conversation about mice and large rats that had been showing up at people's houses, and I want to clear where those came from. Though that all we got a bunch of those during the summer. They were tearing up our grass, and our cats were catching them. And the reason those field rats came out was because of the land next to us, just west of us, the acre that my buddy had tilled up. That's what brought out all of those animals. That's the first thing I want to clarify because my understanding was somebody was blaming all of the stuff that was parked there. The other thing is I don't see any tires. I've seen the majority of the stuff is already gone for the exception of the trailer. And as far as the pile of wood is concerned, I think you're talking about the post that they're going to use for the coyote fence, correct? Is that what you're communicating?
They took the sticks out of the dirt. We can't hear you from over there unless
You
you're
guys
at
to
the
speak
mic.
in the mic if you want to
Well,
respond.
my point is this: is number one, they've done a great job. Number two, I don't see aside from the trailer any other hazardous material there. Now there may be something closer to my neighbors. The gentleman that just spoke, I know where he lives. But I have no complaints for the exception of a handful of things I know that they're working to get done. Aside from that, we've never had any issues. We've never had rodents come from their yard, and the fact that they're cleaning it up and the fact that they've done it this quickly is commendable. So that's all I wanted to communicate.
Thank you very much, Michael. Back to your counselor's questions. If you have questions of either the code enforcement of Corrales or the owner. Yes, Counselor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So in the timeline that was given, it looked like between the time the resolution was passed and to this date, there were several incidents where the fire chief was either called out or the police were called out. And I'm just curious, could they expand on that? But since we don't have police, Mr. or any of the police officers are available, I was just curious about what was the issues and how it was resolved. I mean, did they remove the persons that are on the property illegally or what?
Captain Martinez, you have any comment on that?
Do I need to get sworn in?
No, you're just answering questions.
Okay.
You're not giving tests.
Mayor, Council, I can't speak on behalf of the law enforcement side, but I could tell you, following the resolution, when we had approval, there had been some work being executed on the properties. My understanding was some of the workers that were hired to start cleaning up didn't understand the burning rules, so we had a response a couple of times of illegal fires. We made it very clear that there would be no more fires anywhere on the property, whether it was on the Corrales Road side or on the Old Church Road side. And then after that understanding and our visit and extinguishment, we haven't had any other reports.
Okay.
It was outdoor fires, a little larger than normal, but they cooperated and understood once they communicated to the workers.
Did PD also accompany you when you responded, or were you just the fire department?
I think one incident we had PD with us, but the other one we did not.
Okay. Thank you.
And I also want to make note that we had a report of a fire inside a shed where someone was living in it. But I think planning and zoning covered that these sheds, whether they're permissible or not, they're not to be habitat, you can't live in these sheds. So they're not for rent. You can't,
Right.
yeah, for storage only. Yeah.
So Mayor, let me ask you this, if we grant this extension and so forth, and after a period of time where we think we've completed or they've met compliance and people come back and live in these sheds, what resolution or what recourse do we have?
I think that that depends on what kind of conditions you want to place, as far as completion, total completion, or in 60 days. It's a follow up in 60 more days, and if there's any incidents or episodes, though.
Well, and if I may, Mayor, it's my understanding from talking to our attorney, Randy Audio, that removing somebody from the property is a separate issue, and we would need to go through court for that. And it sounds to me like from what Ms. Delaney said, they've already started a process of evicting the person that was involved in these police incidents and other issues at the property. So the property owners already addressed this. And we could probably work with them if need be, but it would be a separate case from a clean and lien because it has to go through a different process.
And I would guess, if after 60 days they pass the inspection from the code enforcement officer, that if something happens to that, then no action can be taken. It's like, that if 60 days, the clean and lien can be rescinded then, and it's over. And hopefully, no further type of offenses, violations might happen. So anyway, Councilor Waldman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to ask Dennis a question if I could. How long might it take and what is involved in getting the two buildings permitted? One of which possibly the other one, we don't know whether or not it's still standing tomorrow.
In order to get those two buildings permitted, it would be.
Dennis, can you speak into the mic, please?
Can you hear me? Sorry. In order to get the two buildings permitted, what we would need it, and because my understanding is one of the buildings they want to move as well, is the buildings emptied, they would need to be inspected by our building inspector to ensure that they're safe. And then, but that could happen within weeks. But it depends on, I know they said there were materials in there that are I'm not addressing sewage or water. I'm not, but I'm addressing the accessory dwelling units on there. So yeah, those could be done, that the permitting of that can be done very quickly, but again, it depends on the items that are in there. If those are Flory, the son's, Mr. Silva's son's items, and they're looking for a place to store them, I don't know how they manage that in order to empty it so that we could inspect both the structures. So that would be something we'd have to work out with them.
Thank you, Dennis.
Any other questions from the councilors?
We're going to have a decision on timing, but my inclination is if there are just a few vehicles left and this permitting does not take very long, I would be inclined more a 30-day time frame rather than a 60-day time frame. The neighbors have been through this for many, many years, and I think it's important to get this cleaned up as soon as possible.
Okay, I think, we'll entertain any questions, and if there aren't any more, then we can have a motion to include timelines. Yes, Councilor Miera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few questions. The first question I have, I hope is a simple one. I'm sorry about that. You said you have 4 vehicles that you noticed, and I believe Mr. Delaney said that too. They all have licensed and they're registered. So under normal circumstances, could you have 4 vehicles licensed and registered in that property, running or not? I think my question strictly right now is just whether or not they're licensed and registered.
From a code enforcement standpoint,
Right.
You can have as many vehicles as you want on your property as long as they're properly screened from the public.
screened from, are these
That
screened?
typically means you can
Okay,
either put
good,
them in a
yeah.
garage, you can put them into, a shed, you can do a lot of different things with them, but they have to be screened.
Okay.
In public.
On that one, and I'll come back to another couple of questions I have. Are you prepared to be able to screen these vehicles if you intend on keeping them?
We have a 6-foot fence around the property. Does that not include being screened? If the neighbors can't see into the property and see the automobiles, if we have a 6-foot fence, that's kind of why we're building the coyote fence.
Yeah, typically that would permit in most situations. It depends on the fence again
Yeah.
and proper screening, making sure of that.
Okay.
But, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So then the second part of that question was, do they have to be running?
The term is inoperable vehicles is what the code doesn't allow for in there unless, so the number of them and the reason, the context I understand for why inoperable vehicles are not allowed is because of the potential for oil leaks or fluid leaks off older vehicles that can pollute the ground.
Okay.
And so that's something that would need to be handled and make sure that there's remediation on that.
Okay. Did you understand that answer? Are you prepared to be able to say that those vehicles are operable? Even though you said they were licensed, we got that part taken care of.
Some of them have minor issues, like one needs a carburetor, one needs maybe a clutch, one needs a fuel pump. You know what I mean? So they're just like any other person's car that needs repair. Like my truck right now that I drive all the time needs a head gasket now. But yeah, so they have minor things wrong with them. They will be operable.
I'm gonna take this just a little bit further, but just I wanted to make sure that we had similar definitions about what it is that we're looking for. Mr. Mayor, I like the word that you chose because I was searching for the word. You said some conditions. Are we, as we have this conversation, and then we're going to make our next move to decide whether we're going to what we're going to do with the situation? Are we allowed to make some conditions outside, over and above, or in addition to whatever it is that the Clean and Lean didn't take care of? And I'll make an example of that one is like, we can give them 30 days or 32 days, or it's either 30 or 90 or one of the two. Can we make some conditions on those ones? And I'm using one example that I just finished right there. They're not operable, but they're there and they're covered and they're licensed. There's a couple of other ones I think they've mentioned about them, whether or not somebody can even live in them or not, just storage or storage only. So what leeway do we have with the word conditions as we make a decision on what to do next?
Yeah, his stated conditions is just very generally. Ken, could you explain a little more, please?
Mr. Mayor, Counselor, I believe the governing body can make reasonable conditions. The statute is pretty much, it's one of a kind. There's really nothing else like that in New Mexico law. And so I think reasonable conditions can be imposed.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, because as looking at, I was reading the feelings of fellow counselors here, whether it was the 30-day or the 60-day, one talks about the 30, that there was enough time to put that out there. Okay, we put these conditions and we give them a little bit of latitude on that one. After those conditions are given, this is not come back and ask for more, or we should have asked for more this time tonight, or whatever that might be. Once those conditions are set and not met, the next step would be over and above Clean and Lean. Would that be Corrales comes in and pretty much does what they need to do on a piece of property, moving vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. Is that, and without having any more discussion about it, this would be the last, if we gave them the conditions, that's an if we gave them the conditions, that would still be the end of the game, right?
I would assume that if 60 days expired and they had not met the conditions, that there would be another hearing like that and a decision whether to go ahead with the Clean and Lean or rescind the resolution or give them more time. Is that true?
Can we write into the decision, whatever your motion is, Ken, is it appropriate for them to grant some authority to the code enforcement officer in this situation to, after the 30 days, if it is up to Corrales code per the code enforcement officer's discretion, he could recommend if it should come back for another hearing?
Good question. Like I said, the statute's one of a kind. The statute does not in itself, nor does the resolution require completion of the cleanup by a certain date. It requires commencement within 10 days of the resolution and vigorously prosecuted. Like I said, you can put reasonable conditions at some point if if the governing body is inclined to give them an extension, and it's not done, it's clearly not done by the end of that extension. I think the resolution as it is would often think Counselor alluded to this, that the village can then go in and correct anything, remove the cars, remove structures, do whatever cleanup needs to be done, put a lien on the property. So I think that hammer that's in the resolution would still apply to an extended time. And as long as the conditions were reasonably related to that, I think that I think you can delegate to the code enforcement officer authority to tell you whether he can say with a straight face that it's been completed. Again, it's broom clean, not spick and span.
But at some point, don't we have to say that their process of asking for more time has ended? Otherwise, this just goes on forever. It's like, we give them 30 days. They don't make that 30 days. If we write something in there that says they can come back and ask for another 30 days, at what point does that end?
Oh, I think this is their only request to date for additional time.
Mayor?
And I agree with what you're getting at, that they don't get to come back and say, well, we need another 20 days, or we need another 30 days. Again, the resolution as it stands now does not require completion by a certain date. But I think you can impose a reasonable condition that it be done by a certain date. But it probably should be written in the conditions expressly that they don't get to come back and ask for more time. It's got to be done.
Counselor Knight, did I hear you?
Yes, thank you.
Counselor Knight,
yeah.
can I just finish where I was at?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, that's not your fault. I just wanted to, because those are my questions on that one. And I just have one more question for Kim. So you've heard the discussion, and that's the discussion I wanted to have, but I wanted you to be part of it and at least listening to it. You had the first one on 10/28/25, and now you're asking for more time. First you said 30, and then you changed your mind real quick and you said 60. So we have to be very, very clear what it is that you're asking for, what it is we may or may not be able to deliver. But the quick and simple question is, 10/28 is when he started. You need more time. Is there something that you couldn't do between 10/28 that you can do between now and 30 or 60 days or whatever time we give you with conditions? Is that a fair question?
Can you just correct me? I did remember reading in the statutes that as long as we were commencing to clean up the property, then there wasn't a timeline. And I know that you guys need this stuff done properly, like fast. And I think we've pretty much demonstrated that we are serious about this, and our efforts are. And I think we need 60 days. If you're going to put it to that, we're not going to be able to come back and ask for more time, then we need the 60 days and not the 30 days. And just to make sure that we have it all done the way you guys need it done. And yeah, so we could get everything done in 60 days for sure.
Yeah, and you understand, we didn't say 60 days. These are just,
Right.
maybes and ifs, but even if it was 30, that you understand that
this is the time, and I just asking you a question, if there was anything out there that you said, oh my goodness, it can't happen within a certain period of time, or we can do it in less time period. And so with that one, I was talking about, and I'll end it right here, is, you know, the buildings like the Rusty building, that's 152, and the red building is 166, but, you know, the first one was 111, and you should be able to knock the other 96. You should just be able to knock those down, unless, of course, you wanted to keep them. But you don't have to have that permission, but that's where you can store things and things of that nature.
Correct.
You're understanding that those are the parameters that we're dealing with.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
And if I may just inject here, so the resolution that we passed for the clean and lean, item number 3, it does state that the property owners are hereby ordered to commence and promptly bring to completion the abatement of the hazardous conditions on the property. So while that doesn't give a date certain, it does say promptly bring to completion. So I think that's what this hearing should be, is what does promptly mean in this case?
And I think that's fair to the individuals themselves, the neighbors as well. They'd like to know which time they have and when it ends. It goes both ways. And but especially because, you know, you have a limited amount of time and or an extra amount of time, whichever the case would be.
Right.
And so people understand, but then it also puts the people that are overseeing it, you know, not necessarily the harassment of coming in and checking every single day. Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
Yeah.
The fact is, no, I got a couple more days, and then after that, Jessica, well, there is no more. And so that comes there. And that's I want to thank for bringing that word conditions, because I think that's a very important thing, that we're going to have to set some conditions if we're going to move this along.
Yeah, because it would be nice for us to know exactly what is left that you guys want us to do. I
Okay,
mean, we know pretty much what we need to do, but on your perspective.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, all
Thank you,
the
Mr. Mayor.
counselors.
Counselor
had-
Knight?
Yeah, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to reiterate what Ms. Delaney just said, that they need to know what we need to see. So she just said, can you give me a list of things that need to be finished up? So it would be, one person can think, well, I don't need to do this. And another person think it's very important. So if she had a list of things that needed to be done and she completed them, then it would be done. So is there any way we could do that?
I think that could be written into the motion, Counselor Knight. And Dennis, in his statement, did say there, in his opinion, the outstanding issues were that there are 2 illegal structures that need to be dealt with, and then the removal or proper storage of the remaining vehicles. He had identified 10 vehicles on the property. Ms. Delaney has said they've dealt with 4 of them so far, so that leaves 6 vehicles that need to be addressed.
Thank you.
Okay, and what about the concern about any more tires or wood that's stacked that could be dangerous, and that the speakers that came up and talked about the neighbors, are those in consideration at all?
Dennis, do you have an opinion on those materials?
Yeah, so kind of going back to this on the opinion relating to the materials on there, what I did see was there was 8 tires that were stored in a trailer. I don't see a problem with the storage of those 8 tires on the property. I don't believe they're any sort of imminent threat to a fire. I don't believe they're an imminent threat to creating crashing up the place. I think they're just tires. Same thing with the construction materials. Construction materials before were everywhere. Now they're organized, they're stacked, again, what is substantial compliance and what are we trying to achieve here, right? That's what I'm trying, and that's where I'm at with them. It's in relation to the timeline, and I'm going to throw you guys a curveball. I'm going to tell you, I believe you should give them 90 days from here. 180 days is typical for a major cleanup on a nuisance abatement property, based on my research. So they've done a lot in 90 days. They backbreak for trying to get done in 90 days. Now I knew they had this hearing hanging over their head to motivate them, but I believe that giving them an additional 90 days and making that it's a hard 90. It's not a soft 90, this is a hard 90 to sit there and say, yes, okay, we recognize you still have some stuff to do. Let's get those things done. Now, And I do want to recognize and acknowledge the fact of the railroad ties that are stacked up against Mr. Wiggins' fence line, that on a common fence line with him. And I do agree that those could be stored better and or moved or taken off site, because that is a lot of thermal mass, as they call it. Is that the correct term, Chief? So I do agree with that being something that will need to be added or adjusted going forward. But other than that, and the two illegal structures and the disposition of the remaining vehicles on site, I think we had given that amount of time to do that. And then if they can't or won't complete it within the 90 days from going forward, then we can come in and we can mobilize the village contractors to do whatever we need to do to remediate the property.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. I think we've had, well, the councils have all asked questions. I mean, are we getting into a deliberation phase right now? And should we close the meeting or stop the hearing and decide whether we want to close session and do it open? Or do you want to ask another question? Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I wanted to ask the Mr. Dennis that so from code compliance, do they have to meet the setbacks for these vehicles be so many feet away from the fence line so that there is a setback around the property for all these items?
In relation to the inoperable vehicles or the
Well,
structures?
I think we require
yeah.
a setback for even, well, accessory buildings for sure.
For sure.
Vehicles, I'm not so sure about. I don't know, maybe the chief can address that, but I'm thinking, typically you want setbacks because for fire prevention, it allows the firefighters to get around an accessory building or something like that. So I'm just wondering about the vehicles too. Do they have to comply with our setback requirements? I don't know.
My only answer to that is I honestly do not know whether the setbacks would apply to vehicles being parked on the property or not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, any more questions? We can close this phase of the program and go into deliberation. Now, deliberation can be either in closed session or an open session. It depends on what the council would like. So I asked the council, would you want to do any deliberation in a closed session where we wouldn't have an audience, or do you want to just do it in an open session?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would recommend closing the meeting for deliberations, just because there are legal. I'd like to give some legal advice.
Okay, well, so I close the meeting for
We need a motion,
motion, okay.
and whoever makes the motion, you will need to cite exemption 1015(1)(h)(3), deliberations by a public body in connection with an administrative adjudicatory proceeding. Ooh, that's a mouthful.
Okay, I have a motion then.
Does somebody want to just say so moved?
So moved.
A second?
Second,
Second.
second,
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Counselor Knight, we will call you since we have to turn off the Zoom. And then that way you can still participate in the closed hearing.
Okay, I'll wait for your call then. I have
Okay.
my phone right next to me.
Well, no, there's
I'm
the hearing session's closed, right? But the deliberation can be in closed or.
No, that's what we closed for, is for the deliberation. So everyone needs to leave.
I misunderstood the motion completely, and I will
Yeah.
withdraw my vote.
Oh, okay. So you do not want to go into closed session, even though Ken has
No, I thought
recommended.
we were closing the
That's what we're
testimony phase.
Yeah.
And I
No, we
didn't-
were voting on closing
So I
the
misunderstood.
deliberations.
I
So
like-
going in.
I
Okay, so
changed
you
my
vote
vote to
no. Did anybody else want to change their vote with that clarification? Okay, well then the
Everybody else
motion
is smarter
carries.
than me. Did you second? Did you second?
Okay, so we're going into closed session.
Counselor Knight seconded.
Yeah,
So yeah, so Counselor Murray made the motion, Counselor Knight seconded.
Robert's rules.
Yes.
Robert,
Rules of procedure. So anyway,
Teresa, if you can pause the meeting recording, don't stop it.
Right.
Dennis your problems.
Gonna stay or you?
Yes, let me ask, Nolan.
His last name is Porter.
I figured as much.
His first name Bobby, the last name.
Theoretically,
Because he
Dennis
can-
is a party.
Let's get,
Well, no, but they're.
Great.
Go back in open session and.
Okay.
So we don't need a motion to go back in open session? We do, so I was just gonna ask for it. Yeah, could I have a motion to go back into open session, please?
So moved 1015-83. I just wanted to say that, but it's. No, the motion is to get back into session.
Any
Second,
Second.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
aye.
opposed? Motion
And,
passes.
Typically, Mayor, you need to make a statement that says that the matters discussed during closed session were limited to those mentioned in the reason for closure and that no decisions were made.
The meeting in closed session was for deliberation only. No decisions were made. So we're now in open session, right?
Yes.
Everybody's left.
We're in open session, right?
Yeah, I guess,
Everybody left?
I guess they didn't understand what closed session meant. Yep.
So is Mr. Silva gone then?
Yep. It does
Okay,
appear that way.
could I have a motion on how to proceed?
So moved.
It's open, open for discussion.
Someone much wiser than us. Oh,
All in favor? You have a second?
Wait, what's the motion?
Bill?
The motion is to proceed with the conditions to set for the clean and lean. I don't have the statute here, but
Do you want to give a
Proceed.
a set date and then we can, or set number of days and then the council can
Yeah.
debate on?
yeah, as we discussed, the time between tonight and when we will finally have formal determination to give to Mr. Silva is 44 days. If we adopt a 30-day from February 10th, and I think that's sufficient time, given the progress that they made since the initial clean and lean, I think it's reasonable to assume that they can finish that up
So your motion is to give them 44 more days from
tonight,
tonight. Okay.
or 30 days from February 10th. Either way,
Okay.
it's the same.
Okay. And do you want to specify the conditions that they must meet?
Well,
On that one, continuing on his motion, I think one of the conditions are that they understand fully that no one is allowed to live or reside in the vehicle, the RV, and that comma or go to the right, and also that the vehicles need to be running and not just licensed and registered to be able to be on the premises, right? Is that appropriate?
Yes, the only exception I had with that would be the 55 Bel Air.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
The only exception I would add to that would be the 55 Bel Air. I believe that Mr. Silva should be able to keep that in whatever condition it's in on the property.
Okay, we can.
I
Okay,
have a
so
question.
There,
What about the, the well situation?
well, right now we have a motion to extend the period for 44 days and sort of we've morphed into two conditions.
yeah, I'd like to suggest that again, I write up something more formal as far as conditions and deadline, and bring it back to you at your February 10th meeting. But I would ask the code enforcement officer, is there any particular exception or rule under which you're recommending that they be allowed to keep in an operable classic car?
Mostly based on valuation. It's not actually within the scope of the law, or the code. It's basically because of the valuation of that vehicle. I believe that it sounds from the notes that I saw, it sounds like it's a personal vehicle to him, or there's a personal tie to that vehicle, and that tied with the evaluation, I think you should be allowed to keep it.
Right, but generally the code prohibits, the zoning code prohibits the maintenance of inoperable vehicles.
Yeah,
on property.
vehicles typically are allowed, one vehicle is typically allowed on the property to be worked on.
Okay,
And so that would be the allowance, would be that for that one.
okay, yeah. As long as we can hang our hat on some specific rule and are not just winging it entirely.
Councilor Murray?
Well, I was also noticing in the picture, there's a 57 Ford, looks like too. It's on, I would say that, in the 50s, they're considered more of a classic piece of vehicle anymore. I just wondered if he was retaining the 57 or Ford, or was he going to have it hauled off?
No, you're talking about the Ford Ranchero, I believe is what it is.
Well, I thought I saw.
That's one of the ones that they've licensed and registered, and that they're working on getting it up and running.
They did communicate to me that they were working on some offsite storage for the vehicles they were going to retain.
Okay.
I think my mom had a 55.
Councilor Elsabrook?
I think timing is appropriate to offer an amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to amend Councilor Wellman's motion to give them 60 days from tonight. Actually, no, I take that back. Sorry. 60 days brings it to March 30th. So I'd like to just make it an easy March 31st date.
Okay.
So that's my own.
Is there a second for Councilor Elsabrook's motion to?
I second that.
Okay.
I second that.
Deadline is March 31st. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just the reason I'm offering it is because the number of vehicles they have, it could be that if they were trying to get some into operating condition, given the age of them, it is not always easy in this part of the country to source replacement parts and things like that. Right. And they did, I think, have shown pretty good faith by doing what we described. Their abatement was vigorously and continuously prosecuted. And so I think we can give them a little extra consideration.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. More discussion, Councilor.
I was also thinking about the buildings that have to be moved or disposed of, and if there is material inside that needs to be cleaned out. I think, how much do our permits cost for an accessory building? Do you remember?
I don't handle the permits in our office generally, so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those permits that's based on square footage, or, like a building permit is based on square footage. I don't know if a permit like this is based on that.
Buildings are on the east side of the irrigation channel near the Corrales Road. Is that my understanding?
Is that correct?
The four illegal structures are the two illegal structures, sorry. Two illegal structures are on the Corrales side of the property. Yes, sir.
Okay, which ones?
Which one?
On the Corrales Road.
There is what I termed as the rusty shed, and there's the red shed, which are both considered the illegal structures. They're still present. Both of those are present on the Corrales side of the property.
Do you think that they're going to their intent is to have them moved over to the west side of the property, or? Mr.
Silva in his notes said that he wanted to move the red shed to the west side of the property.
Okay.
For storage purposes is what he indicated.
Okay.
The west side of the property is where it's passed.
Correct.
Is that one of the permissible sheds, the red shed?
It is the over 120 square feet would require a permit shed.
And I think it just mentioned that it's worth, I think, for the governing body to consider. It's not usually the cost of a building permit. It's the regulations you have to comply with. And I don't know what it takes, but you might just want to keep in mind, it may take 30 days to get a building permit.
Does that require a foundation or can they just leave it on the ground?
It should not require a foundation, to my understanding, for that shed, and should not take. It would surprise me if it took longer than a week, as long as the property owners have the shed emptied so that it can be inspected. It shouldn't take us longer than a week to get that accomplished.
Okay, so
We
any,
still had an outstanding motion, Mr.
we have motion and a second. We're discussing it right now. And the second was to extend the termination or the final date to March 31st. So any more discussion on that amendment? Councilor Waldman.
Mayor, I'd like to add something to the list. We talked about the railroad ties being close to a fence. Those moved away from the neighbor's property. Part of that. And I don't know if there's anything else.
That's not part of the amendment, though, right?
No.
Not part of the-
We should vote on the amendment.
Let's vote on the amendment.
Yeah, let's vote on the amendment and then we can go back to the original motion.
So the amendment was to extend the date to March 31st, and we've had discussion. And why don't we take a vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay, we go back to the motion itself, which is now we have a date of March 31st. We're looking at conditions. And we have and we talked about a third condition about the railroad ties.
So we talked about the operable vehicles. We talked about no living in any of the, and I'd like to also offer to remove any wood piles away from a neighbor's fence to an appropriate distance. I don't know how you judge that, but
Well, I think that'd be the setback, minimum at least would be setback on either side would be what, 10 feet? And there's, I think it is.
yeah, but maybe a little more than that, just to satisfy, be very patient. Is there anything else, Dennis, that comes to mind?
No, if we can get the illegal structures, the inoperable vehicles, and Mr. Wiggins brought up a good point on the railroad ties. I agree with that should be a condition of this.
Yep.
If they get those complied with, there is some minor trash and stuff like that was still on the property, but it all looked in the process of cleaning. It was collected and stored in areas to be taken away. So as long as that continues on that, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Any closer, you will be tidy.
So we
So
could add,
What was it?
yeah, broom clean, yeah. So item number 4 could maybe be something along the lines of, and any other code enforcement violations as noted by the code enforcement officer. Okay. So the motion that's on the floor then
I
is.
have one quick question.
Yes.
Wasn't there something about the well or the septic that they had brought up?
So yeah, the property owner is trying to locate the septic permit because they are sure. At one point, Lori said that she didn't believe there were any septic permits for the property whatsoever, even for the main house where Mr. Silva lives.
Right.
And the property owner has been trying to track that down, and she is getting the runaround from NMED, it sounds like.
And it may be beyond the competence of this resolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget about that because I read about that in the paperwork. So,
Enemy says they have no record of a septic system on that property, according to the. So is the house.
Well, that seems to go beyond
Admitted.
Yeah.
this motion, though, I think.
okay. Just checking.
No, that is a good point. If it was in the original resolution, maybe that fourth catch-all with any other items that the code enforcement officer identifies could be anything that's in the resolution that needs to be addressed.
And we
Okay.
can identify Ken to put these together in a list. Is that part of the motion?
That would be part of the motion that we're going to turn it over to legal to write this up for introduction.
For final approval, February 10th.
February 10th?
Yeah, and absolutely make a list so they know what they need to do.
So February 10th, you're drop dead. When do you usually get the agenda?
I need it by end of the day, February 5th. So next Thursday.
On that point, they weren't here for this discussion. They were, they probably didn't know they could be, but all that aside, will they get this list prior to that, or would it be the first time they hear it when everybody else is hearing it, that you bring to us? We don't have to give that to them.
Well, it'll be, again, we're kind of going off in uncharted territory here as far as the statute goes, but it'll be posted by when?
February 6th at 5 p.m.
Like everybody else would get it.
Right.
Okay, that's good enough.
But I think they should probably be, Dennis, you could communicate with them, broad brush strokes of the consensus of the governing body, and then they'll have a specific order on February 10th.
Yes, I'd be happy to communicate with them on that, and then we'll give them the details.
Yeah.
Once it's approved.
And they might want to be here on February 10th to just, give their input. Okay, so now the motion is that the governing body is giving the property owner until March 31st to address the specific items that will be given to the attorney. The attorney will draw up a, do we call it findings of fact for lack of a better term?
A decision or an order?
Decision, okay.
So moved.
And you want to include the conditions?
Yeah.
Broad strokes.
Actually, we already had a motion, or Councilor Alsobrook had made the motion. No, sorry.
With the amendments
Councilor Waldman had made the motion.
as amended then.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And those 4 conditions are included in the motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think in general, the cleanup should be complete by then is what you're looking for as well.
Okay. Let's clean up complete by March 31st. 31st.
Are there any questions on that?
Well, I'm sort of confused about all the things we've talked about into the motion, but I'll stand by it then. Right now, I'm not sure I know what's in motion.
So in the motion is the the accessory structures and the vehicles, inoperable vehicles will be dealt with. And part of the order will be that no one is to be allowed to live in either of those, in either the RV or the accessory buildings. The property owner will remove any railroad ties and wood piles away from neighboring properties. We already have the vehicles must be running as kind of the in with those accessory structures. And then any other code enforcement violations as identified by the code enforcement officer or any items in the original resolution that are not addressed herein.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And do we want to add that the final motion will be on February 10th?
Yeah, and then the next step in that motion is that Ken will put together orders to the property owner, and those orders will be approved on February 10th.
Then tomorrow stand, it said no more, this is the end of the road.
Okay. Yeah. And that this is
So we have the motion, and it's been seconded already. Is there any more discussion? Yes, Councilor Woolman.
Thank you, Mayor. So they have 5 days to appeal to district court from tonight?
No.
It'll be
From
it's from the decision, which would be the 10th.
Decisions.
They have 5 days to notify you, that the governing body, that they're appealing, and 20 days from the date of the decision to actually file a petition with the district court.
From the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yes.
Any other discussions? Councilor Alsobrook.
Sorry. When will they be informed of this motion, this decision?
I think either Dennis or I can give them a call tomorrow and let them know that we're going to move forward and invite them to the meeting on February 10th.
call Kim tomorrow and advise her of.
And you
Thank
might
you.
also want to make sure they get a copy of the agenda as soon as it's posted.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Kim's email address now, so I can email her. That's what I did for this meeting was I emailed her a copy of the agenda and packet, just like I did for the governing body.
Excellent.
So, okay, are we ready to
More
take a vote?
discussion. Ready for vote? All in favor, say
I
aye.
think this one we really should do a roll call vote just because,
Yeah,
you know,
not a bad idea.
Okay.
because of what they're deciding.
Roll call vote. Counselor Miera,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Waldman,
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrook, Counselor Knight,
Aye.
Counselor Murray.
Yes.
Motion passes. I think we're finished with business, and so meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Yes, I thought it would be.
Yeah, cool.
Slam dunk.